Harvard's brightest minds had been stuck for months. On the chalkboard, an equation no student, no professor, no visiting scholar could solve. It was a challenge meant to inspire, and quietly remind the world who the real geniuses were. But late one night, long after the lecture halls emptied, a man with a mop stopped to look. His uniform said, "Janitor." His mind carried a secret no one here had asked about. By morning, the board was no longer blank. And the question on everyone's lips wasn't, who solved it? It was, how could it be him? His name was Samuel Reed. Most people on campus barely noticed him. He moved through Harvard's marble hallways with a mop in one hand and a quiet dignity in his step. Every night, after the last lecture, he would sweep rows of empty seats and polish floors no one thanked him for. Samuel wasn't a graduate student. He wasn't a professor. He didn't even have a college degree. But what few knew was that, in the quiet hours after work, he studied. Old textbooks rescued from dumpsters, scribbled notes on scraps of paper, equations solved on the backs of cleaning schedules. For Samuel, numbers weren't just numbers. They were the one place life's chaos made sense. Still, in Harvard's world of prestige and privilege, a black janitor's mind was invisible. Until one winter night, when the problem no one could solve found its way into his hands. The unsolvable equation had been on the board for weeks. It was part of a tradition, a problem so advanced that even seasoned academics struggled with it. Students walked past it every day, scribbling partial answers, erasing them in frustration. Professors debated it over coffee. No one came close. Samuel had passed that board 100 times with his mop and bucket. Each night, he lingered a little longer. The numbers called to him, patterns flickering in his mind like an old memory trying to resurface. But here, in the most prestigious university in America, he knew his place. Keep your head down, keep the floors clean, don't draw attention. That unwritten rule wasn't just about being a janitor. It was about being a black man in a place built for privilege. He'd felt the stares before, students assuming he was lost, security guards asking to see his ID while ignoring others. He'd learned not to give anyone an excuse to question why he was there. One night, as he wiped down desks, 2 graduate students walked in, still arguing over the problem. If Fields Medal winners can't solve it, what chance does anyone else have? One said with a laugh. The other smirked, yeah, unless some genius is hiding in a janitor's closet. They didn't know Samuel was in the back of the room, emptying trash bins. They didn't need to know, the punchline wasn't meant for him. Still, the words cut deep. That night, he didn't just clean around the equation. He studied it. Every line, every symbol. His mind moved faster than his hands, rearranging terms, spotting what others had missed. The solution was there, buried beneath assumptions no one had bothered to question. But there was a problem. If he wrote on that board, would they see the math? Or just the man who wrote it? In this place, being wrong wasn't the worst thing that could happen. Being right, and not being the right kind of person, could be worse. For 3 nights, Samuel wrestled with it. He worked his shifts in silence, replaying the problem in his head, sketching solutions on napkins during lunch breaks. The answer kept forming, complete and unshakable. On the 4th night, the building was empty. Snow fell softly outside, muffling the city's sounds. Samuel stood in front of the board, chalk in hand. His heart pounded. One part of him wanted to walk away. The other refused to let fear dictate the truth. Stroke by stroke, the solution came alive. Lines of numbers, elegant and precise, filled the board. When he finished, he stepped back. It wasn't just correct, it was clean, undeniable. He put the chalk down, packed his mop, and left the room as quietly as he'd entered. By morning, the whispers began. Students huddled in doorways, professors gesturing toward the board with disbelief. Someone had solved it, but no one knew who. The head of the department was called in. The dean was notified. And somewhere in the middle of it all, Samuel found himself summoned to an office he had never once been invited into. What awaited him there would not be what he expected. Samuel sat in the dean's office, the polished mahogany table between them gleaming like a barrier. The head of the math department stood beside the board where Samuel's solution had been copied. Every number was intact. every step flawless. But the air was thick, not with praise but suspicion. How did you come across this problem? The dean asked, his tone less curious than accusatory. I've seen it on the board while working, Samuel replied, steady but cautious. And you solved it? The words carried disbelief, not awe. The math chair cleared his throat. Dean, the method is correct. It's remarkable. Yet instead of celebration, Samuel watched them exchange glances, silent conversations built on doubt. He knew that look. It wasn't could he be a genius? It was could he have cheated? A third man entered, security. Standard procedure, the dean said smoothly. We just need to confirm this is your own work. They took him to a small lecture hall, set the problem on paper, and slid it across the desk. Prove it. Samuel's hands shook, not from fear of the math, but from the weight of the room. Every movement, every line he wrote, he could feel their eyes pressing into him, waiting for a mistake to confirm what they already believed. Minutes passed. The solution flowed effortlessly. By the time he finished, the room was silent. The head of the department looked stunned. The dean, still unreadable. You're telling me, the dean finally said, that a janitor, without formal education, has done what some of the brightest minds in this university could not? Samuel met his gaze. I'm telling you I'm more than my job title. The dean leaned back. We'll decide what to do with this. Samuel stood, understanding the truth. The math was solved, but the real problem was far bigger. The flashing lights finally dimmed as the last officer stepped away, muttering something under his breath. His legs felt heavy, almost unwilling to carry him home. The street was empty now, but in his mind, the scene replayed over and over. The cold stares, the shouted orders, the sound of his own voice trying to explain, and being ignored. When he finally closed his front door, it wasn't relief he felt, it was a hollow ache. He was safe for now, but something inside had shifted. That night, he understood in a way he never had before. Safety, for people who look like him, is never guaranteed. You can follow every rule, stay calm, keep your hands visible, and still it may not be enough. Days later, the video surfaced online. People argued in the comments, some defending the officers, others calling for change. But for him, it wasn't just a viral clip. It was a moment burned into his soul. And that's the part we often forget. Racism doesn't just make headlines, it lives in the quiet aftermath. In the long walks home where every shadow feels dangerous. In the way you tense when you hear sirens. In the lessons you're forced to teach your children about surviving encounters that should never be life or death. His story is just one among thousands. Stories we hear, share, and then too often forget. Until the next one. But what if we didn't forget? What if we let these moments change us, push us, and demand something better? Because this isn't just about one night on a street corner. It's about the kind of world we're willing to accept, and the one we're willing to fight for. If this story moved you, hit the like button and share it with someone who needs a reminder that brilliance can come from anywhere. Don't forget to subscribe for more powerful stories that challenge what we think we know.